Chris Hassel and Jacqueline D'Agostino with Brady Quinn as we give you your super preview for a super football game, the Rose Bowl, Alabama and Michigan. Brady, when I try to envision this game, for some reason I just can't picture Michigan and Jim Harbaugh, all the issues they've had in bowl games, beating Nick Saban and everything he has done at Alabama.
Well, I think the most incredible thing about what Nick Saban has done is he's continually dealt with a carousel of coaches who season after season after season have left and moved on to go somewhere else, and whether it be head coaching jobs or coordinator positions in the NFL. But go back to 2016. Their OC was Lane Kiffin. They've had Brian Daboll, Mike Locksley, Steve Sarkisian, Bill O'Brien, now Tommy Rees, just in that span since 2016. What other program can say that and say that they've maintained the same level of success that Nick Saban has at Alabama? And then you go on the other side, you know, Pruitt, Lapouille, Pete Golden, now Kevin Steele as a defensive coordinator. It's so hard to be able to keep top talent as coaches within your system and maintain the level of excellence that Nick Saban and Alabama have had to do. And that's what stands out to me the most. Forget the matchup for a second. It's the continual change in Tuscaloosa that Nick Saban has been able to overcome and still guide his teams to SEC championships and college football playoff berths. So that's the number one thing I think you point out, and just how much better this team's gotten as the season's gone on. And in comparison to Michigan, it feels like they're just trying to hang on with all of the drama on the outside and how it's impacted this team.
Let's talk about the quarterback for Bama. We just saw it there, the split, the first 3 games, 2-1, and then 10-0 since then. Jalen Milroe, this is a guy who lost his starting job after that Texas loss, and we think about that Bama team. It's a completely different team than we're seeing right now, Brady, but how has Jalen Milroe been able to progress and all of the improvement? How do you explain that?
Yeah, three things. I think he's got more comfortable at the quarterback position. You know, the quarterback position is a developmental position where you need reps, you need experience, and I think offensive coordinator Tommy Rees has done a tremendous job since he's come back as the starter after that USF game, and he's continually grown into the position as far as his decision-making, his playmaking ability, but also the pieces around him. You look at their left tackle spot in Caden Proctor, who's a freshman playing. He's gotten so much better playing some of his best football the last 5 weeks versus some of the best talent. So it's not just Jalen Milroe, it's all parts of this offense that have improved. But that's the difference, I think, in this game is the improvement of Milroe at the position, who's a legit dual threat quarterback. And then on the flip side, J.J. McCarthy, who's kind of down the stretch, you know, kind of flown under the radar of not throwing the football quite as much. He's been banged up, had the ankle injury, but the offense just doesn't quite look the same as it did in the first half of the year.
You know, we talk about all the experience that Nick Saban has in these situations, winning these games. Jim Harbaugh doesn't have that. But for Michigan and those players, like a Blake Corum, for instance, this is the 3rd straight time he's been in the playoff. Jalen Milroe, first experience. Yeah. Is there any sort of advantage that Michigan players might have being in this position before?
Yeah, I think so. As far as the preparation, understanding what the moment means. I mean, obviously, Jalen Milroe has been on the team, that's been a part of it, but playing it has a different sense and feel to it. So the biggest thing I think for Michigan is really the mission and what this season's been all about for the Wolverines. This is the most experienced team in FBS. They all came back to try to go win a national championship. A bunch of these guys could have moved on to the NFL level, Blake Corum in particular, and J.J. McCarthy can't, but he can after this season. And it's been a big reason why this group stayed together and coming back was the chance to win a Big Ten championship, go to the playoff and finish what their mission was. And they've had to deal with all of the, you know, drama on the outside with Jim Harbaugh and the suspension or self-imposed suspension from themselves and then from the Big Ten Conference. And it's just, again, been a number of issues this team has dealt with, yet they've continually overcome. Can they in this case? I think that's the big question. The biggest concern I have for them is their offensive line. This has been a Joe Moore award-winning offensive line for the best group in the country. They weren't that this year. And Zach Zenner, the right guard, he got hurt, went out. It seemed like there was a drop-off going back to the Penn State game, Ohio State game, and really obviously into Iowa. But when you go back to Ohio State, when Zenner got hurt, that's when it was really apparent that they were going to miss this guy. They've got depth there. It's just not the quite same talent they had in the past, really being able to physically dominate games. So whether that group can develop that chemistry over the course of the next couple weeks as we head into this game, that's going to be the biggest question. Because if they can run the football, they're going to have a shot. But Alabama's going to load up to stop the run and force J.J. McCarthy and this Jim Harbaugh team and offense to do something they really haven't done, and that's throw the football in meaningful moments at the end of a game. He's got 22 pass attempts in the 4th quarter. 22. I mean, I was actually looking through the list of quarterbacks and their attempts in the fourth quarter. Drew Aller was like 97th in the country with 55. I mean, he's not even on the list. That's how few pass attempts J.J. McCarthy has had to make. In this game, he's going to have to make some big-time throws in big-time moments to beat Bama.
And when it comes to Michigan, we talk about the players, the experience they have. This is a Michigan team allowing the fewest points per game in the last 15 years. But, Brady, how much can you chalk that up to their strength of schedule in the Big Ten?
Yeah, I think you started to see that number not look quite the same when you take on, Penn State and Ohio State, some of the better teams. Their non-conference schedule is really weak. So this will be the best offense that they have faced all year long, in my opinion. And it's because of the combination of pieces. Milroe's dual threat ability, and this isn't knock versus Ohio State and Kyle McCord, but the reality is Marvin Harrison Jr. was the best player they saw all year. Now they get a chance to see an offense that's loaded with speed and talent, guys like Burton and Bond on the outside, and obviously a running back by committee group that can get after it with Milroe as a part of that. So that's the challenge for this Michigan team. Is they've been extremely disciplined. They've been extremely good up front doing their job and executing, but are they going to be able to do that when things break down and Milroe takes off? They haven't seen a player like him yet this year.
Time for Stats That Matter, presented by Penske. When you gain the right transportation partner, your business gains ground. I know Michigan fans are tired of seeing these stats. All the losses in bowl games for Jim Harbaugh. They have lost 6 straight bowl games under Jim Harbaugh, and they're not covering in those games either. Michigan, a slight favorite, laying a 1.5, total 44.5. What's your pick for the Rose Bowl, Brady?
I'm taking the 1.5, and I would not be shocked if by kickoff this game isn't close to a pick 'em. I was actually surprised if I was handicapping it. I'd probably say Bama should be the team giving a 1.5, 2.5 points in this case. I just think they're at a much better spot than where Michigan was at to finish the season in the Big Ten championship game, and where Bama's built to have the best win of the season, knocking off Georgia for the chance to get into the college football playoff. So I'll gladly take the 1.5 here in Alabama.
All right, Brady Quinn joining us here on HQ, where we have a good one with Michigan and Bama in the Rose Bowl.
You want a national championship pick?
Of course, of course. Look, I think it'll end up being a rematch of what we saw earlier this year with Texas taking on Alabama. Those, to me, are the 2 best teams at this point in time in the country. And I think Alabama, a second time around, ends up finding a way to win it all. And probably the most controversial team that ends up making it into the college football playoff ends up being the team that, in the end, ends up winning it all.
All right, Brady, my bad. I didn't mean to cut you off there for your national championship pick. All right.
We got plenty of time.
Yeah, we do. We have plenty of time. Brady Quinn joining us here for his picks. We have some interesting bowl games coming up, especially here on CBS. The Sun Bowl back again on CBS. Oregon State versus Notre Dame Friday at 2 p.m. Eastern. Watch it on CBS or, of course, streaming on Paramount+.